Oh, hello. It is the 14th of April, episode 377. 17, damn it, of the Should I Play This Game podcast. I got about 60 episodes ahead of me. Shit. Graham Banks.
How are you, sir?
You're all right. I'll officially be on holidays by the time this goes up. Yay! How go the renovations?
Yeah, getting there. Yep. Yeah, I think I've done all the painting now. That was where all the various real life stuff got in the way. I just had to, paint the new big room that I've had made. So
there you go.
Yeah, so it was it's a 34 square meter room, so it's quite big.
That's not little.
So luckily there's not a lot of wall, but obviously there's a big ceiling, and you've got to put 3 coats on it. So yeah.
How is there not a lot of wall in a room?
Because there's windows in it too and doors.
All right, that'll explain it. I was really confused. I'm like, wait, what's there if it's not a wall? What's going on here? I didn't paint my... Wait. Oh, no, when I built the house, I got lazy and paid for painting.
I had the choice of doing that, but I wanted to paint, so... save money, and I wanted to do the painting myself, so...
Just to unleash your artistic inner demons?
It's not really that artistic. You've got a real lot of choice when you're painting a house, but... No, more is
No, this is true.
Yeah, I've done it. I did it in the room I'm in now. Got renovated 10 years ago.
Fucking hell.
So yeah, I just did the same again. So
yeah, I helped a mate paint his missus's house. That was an experience. I was like sitting there going, Anyway, so we didn't record a podcast last week because you were painting, and I was like, look, man, don't fucking try and rush that so we can sit down and record. I'll record. So I played like 3 hours of Ask Games.
Hey.
The camera's moving. I think I'm pushing on the desk too much, getting excited. A couple of those games I'll talk about in a moment. And there were also, in the time since we've last recorded a podcast, there have been 3 events. One of which we talked over. The Switch 2 Nintendo Direct, which is up on YouTube right now. I'm still kind of... the underwhelmingness of that has still stuck with me.
Yeah, I mean, since obviously it was actually on like Thursday night?
Wednesday night,
our time, Thursday morning, realistically. It started at like midnight on my time. We recorded that Saturday morning for you.
Yep.
And so it's 3 or 4 days after the fact. So we tried to go, media blackout on our side, not to get much spoiled.
You were more successful at that than me.
It was easy for me because I was doing so much other stuff. I just wasn't doing stuff. And the big sort of takeaway from the whole thing to me was the price in Australia is astonishing. It's $700, which is really, really high. The games are also freaking expensive.
120.
120 for the Mario Kart World, whatever it's called. Yeah, so I'm with you. It's kind of landed pretty flat for me. Not that it was gonna. It would have had to really hit it out the park for me to go, right, I need to buy one of these because I don't play the current Switch I've got, and I don't travel. If I was traveling, I'd take the Ally. So
yes.
So it's not a console I really need to get. But it certainly didn't sway that opinion any way, shape, or form.
Do you think if they had maybe a 3D Mario, it would have made a difference?
The price is the problem. The price that price is staggering. I'm not paying $700. I mean, I paid a lot for the Ally, but the Ally can.
It would have been what, $800-900?
Oh no, that was $1,300. That was shitloads more.
Yeah, yes, right.
But
yeah, you're talking borderline laptop money there, but it's significantly more powerful.
More powerful, and it's Windows based, which means I can play any game under the sun.
Yeah, you can emulate shit. You can play Switch 2 games on that thing, probably.
Yeah, probably. So,
it would be illegal to.
Yeah, it would, but it would probably doable technically. So
emulation is not illegal.
So that's sort of the thing with it. Is like it, for me, from my personal situation, it was it was going to have to be a tough sell for them to convince me to
Mm.
buy one. But that presentation didn't help. Is the other problem.
No.
The prices are staggering. The games they've got coming out that are first party don't really set the world on fire for me. Like a new Mario Kart game, yeah, cool.
Open world Mario Kart, though.
Yeah, but I can play. That's the thing. We mentioned it during the
Burnout and
stream.
Forza Horizon and
But
stuff.
there are better games. There are better versions of that, in my opinion. So, um, yeah. So it has fallen really flat for me.
You know,
Um,
one thing I'm really disappointed in us for that neither of us made the Red Faction Gorilla link for Donkey Kong.
so what link is that? Sorry.
So, like, where I watched Nextlander's stream after while I was playing something, and literally within 5 seconds of that thing being on, Vinny was like, "Next Red Faction Gorilla," like Gorilla. I'm like, "Oh god damn it!"
Do it, get it, doesn't
I
matter.
was like, "That's really clever. How are we not smart enough to think of that?"
Um, yeah, I just think it's landed. Even the reaction across the gaming world, for the want of a better term, is not
The sphere.
particularly high on it either.
Mm.
The pricing is high for the games. The pricing is high for the console. I mean, if that's aimed at kids, their parents have to shell out $700 for that in
That's in
Australia.
Australia.
That's in Australia. I mean, even so if it's highly priced in America. Like it's double the original.
Weirdly, people were like picking like before that stream though. They were before the direct. People were picking between 400 and 500 American, which
That'd have been
I
what the
kind of
price.
get,
That'd
but
have been the price. That'd have been like 1,000 here if that had been the case.
it's 450 I think over there.
Okay, so they had kind of picked the price. Yeah.
Yeah. But like when we did the video, it's like go onto Steam. All right, what's a stream? I was about to say Stream Deck. That's not the same thing. What's a Steam Deck run? 650 for the base model.
Mm.
Now you can get an OLED Steam Deck with I think 512 gig for 1100.
Mm.
And obviously that's not full 1080, but it fucking everything else is pretty damn good on that thing from all reports. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just curious what the current. I've not looked at it for.
And then what like there so I don't know if the pre-orders for that thing have gone live in America because a certain human Fanta bottle can't decide if he wants to fucking tariff everyone or not, or if he just wants to go try and fuck China, and China just goes, no, we'll fuck you instead.
Yeah,
Which I don't think that's a game he's going to win.
No.
For as good as a negotiator he thinks he is, fucking what a dipshit. No, let's not get political all of a sudden.
Yeah, so currently, if you wanted to go and buy the original ROG Ally, it's 1,300.
The X is what, 11?
No, the X is higher. The X is higher. That's the higher volume, the higher valued one.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what price they were running on that.
So the 1,300 for the original ROG Ally will get you a 512 gig storage.
Twice the Switch.
Yep. If you go the ROG Ally X, which is the more recent one of them, you'll get a 1 terabyte drive, and that's 1,600.
Those are 1080 screens that are touchscreen?
1080 120 hertz screens.
So basically the same as what the Switch is.
Yeah.
Or Switch 2, sorry.
Switch 2, yep.
Is the X OLED? I don't think it is
I don't think it is, no.
There are a couple of handheld PCs that are going OLED screens. I think it's AR Neo or something, AYA Neo.
I think the Lenovo got one out as well.
The Lenovo, the Legion Go S, which is the Stream one. Steam OS. And that's basically a Switch in form factor and everything because you can take the fucking side control paddles off.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously with the Ally, you've got it on a Windows platform, so you've got Steam access, you've got Game Pass access, you've got Epic, you can install GOG, you've got all those platforms installed on it. So it's got more options.
The Steam Deck is a little more limited because it's Proton, which is a Linux offshoot or a Linux-based thing, but you can install Windows on that, or people are just really down. Like people have been down with Proton.
Yeah, I mean they've improved that. They've improved that out of sight since they first released the Steam Deck. So
it is quite the thing where the messaging out of this thing has really shot Nintendo in the ass, or in the foot at least.
Yeah,
And we didn't even get around to talking about the battery.
well, the battery wasn't even mentioned in the
No, it wasn't.
in there, and it's basically it's like 2.5. It's really small.
Between 2.5 and 6, based on game. So it's a bigger battery, but because of what the internals of that thing are and the screen and shit,
with it, it's basically parallel to what it was previously. Yeah. So that basically brings it in line with what the ROG Ally can do. Again, based on the game you're playing and based on what you do with it. The advantage with the ROG Ally, because it's got all the Windows underline stuff, you can basically scale it back if you want to. Like if the game you're playing doesn't require a lot of,
because it's a PC game, you can just change.
Basically bring down the specs to be low quality kind of stuff. It'll drop the quality might not drop, but the frame rate might drop, or the frame rate will stay stable, but the quality will drop, whatever you do.
And for as neat as the mouse thing on the Joy-Con is, like you mentioned, it's still fucking thin as shit.
Yeah, that's not an ergonomic thing to use as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So.
And they didn't talk about the surface area to work on. Apparently, in the hands-on that people got, there were some people saying, "Yo, I could use it on my leg and it worked just fine." Okay, yeah, sure. But who the fuck is wanting to use a mouse on their fucking leg?
Exactly, yeah.
As someone who used a mouse on a TV-bound PC, I had a mouse pad on like an armrest, and that worked all right. But that's still not optimal.
No.
And God, my hands aren't very nice on certain mice, and I'm not fucking a giant. I'm not fucking a giant, but I'm also not a fucking giant. Let's get that out of the way. Like, trying to use the Switch from a dimensions perspective, that thing's fucking small. Like, it feels very small in my hands. Anyone who's bigger than me is going to have it feel like has the exact same issue.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
It will sell gangbusters because, of course, it will.
Well, I'm not too sure it's going to sell that well because of its price.
Oh, no, the price might be an issue, but...
I mean, what? Again, I've not looked at this stuff in ages, so we're just going to JB again.
Jabba. Good old Jabba.
What is the current price of a Switch?
I think it's $7 for the base, and I think $7.70 for the Mario Kart bundle.
Now, what's the current model? The current one.
Oh.
The current Switches are set you back about $500, $520, give or take, might be on sale. So, like that sold really well around the world, basically, because of what it was. It also was at the right time because it came out during the pandemic and all that kind of stuff, so that made it sell a bit more. So it's good. That hardware was good, and the timing of it was good. But if you want the base model now, you're looking at $700 in Australia. So you're looking at $200, essentially $200 more than the current one. That's a hard sell. To upgrade
in an economy and in an inflation situation where shit is so,
where everything's, and it's probably going to go up. That's the upshot. It's probably going to go up because of the tariff stuff that, as you said, the orange one's doing. So it has a good chance. It's a good chance it's going to go up. Maybe not soon, but it will probably go up at some point because of that stuff.
Sony put the PlayStation 5 up. Remember, I think they only did that in Japan though.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is the tariffs will take a while to kick in before the price goes up. So so in terms of like it probably will increase its price, so it's not going to get any cheaper. Put it that way is the upshot. So if you've got a family that's got two of these already, are you really going to sell out $1,500 to replace them with a Switch 2? Probably not. So how much? What is the penetration market for a Switch 2? When there's already an shitload of Switch 1s out there that are, for what they're doing now, they're fine.
Yeah.
If you haven't got a Switch, then obviously you're going to probably go to Switch 2. But
as sick as it sounds, though, I still kind of want one.
I don't. So that's you. I have no intention buying them.
Like everything we said, I'm like, it's got fuck all out, blah blah blah. I'm like, ooh, that Mario Kart sure looks nice. But I'll play it and I'll be like, this is fuck this. Let's go back to Horizon.
Yeah, it was actually, well, the next one will come out this year probably.
Ooh.
This could be due, so yeah.
Maybe. Well, Microsoft announced their not E3, Key 3.
Oh, their June showcase.
Yep,
Yeah.
their June showcase. They're doing a showcase as per the usual, and they're doing Outer Worlds 2 as a showcase after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
So no Call of Duty is shown on that one, but Outer Worlds 2, which, oh boy, hopefully that comes out good.
Mm.
So maybe a Forza Horizon 6?
Yeah.
Although, no, Playground's still doing Fable.
Yeah, they've got two teams, so.
Yeah. Maybe we get Forza Horizon 6 for the holidays. That'd be great. I'd like that. All right, before we talk all right, so we've covered basically the Switch 2 thing. We don't have to talk about that later. There was the direct focused on the Switch 1 a week earlier, and also the AAA initiative. Should we talk about that later, or you want to quickly cover that now before we get into the games?
Let's do it at the end. Let's do it when we...
Let's do it at the end. So, there are games that have been played. It has been 3 or 4 weeks since we did one of these. Graham!
Yes.
What you done, buddy?
Not a real lot, which might be a big surprise.
Yeah, I know, right?
So there was a Next Fest? What was there?
No, not since we've done a record. Not since we've recorded last. I think these demos have just gone up.
Maybe they're from there. I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. I have a demo. There were two demos. A bunch of demos I played off Steam over the last couple of weeks. The first one of those is All Will Fall. This is a survival game of sorts. It is kind of neat in that it's sort of built or played on this sort of floating islands of a thing. You've got your standard building things. You can build blocks. You can build staircases. You can see the bottom of the screen there. Screen right. You can see we've got staircases. You can collect things from the environment. Then the other neat thing is that the actual sea level rises and falls. That reveals stuff to you. But the other part of it too is it's physics based. So you just can't build something; it'll just stay up. If you don't put the proper supports in, your buildings can basically fall down. It's pretty neat in how it looks.
I think I saw the store page or something for this, and I'm like, yo, this is definitely a Graham thing.
Yeah, I mean, I played a fair bit of the demo, and I got to the point where I think, okay, I'm happy that I know what this is going to be. I'll wait till the full release out whenever it's.
So you're in?
I definitely win for this one. Yeah, it's on my wish list now. I've seen it being played on another stream a while back, so I knew about it anyway.
Yeah.
But obviously now playing it, you get a sense of what it's like. You've got these. You can see there they've got wheels to keep people.
The wheels. I like the ghetto water tanks on the left side.
Yeah.
Where someone spray painted H2O on it. That's pretty neat.
So it is a neat game. You see there's sort of the building part of it, and where the reds where you've got a bit of extension. So
does that feel too complex, or is it sort of
it's fairly
straddled the line?
For me, when I was playing it, as I didn't play for that long, but
yeah,
you when you put down a building block of a kind, so the most common one you've got is these things here.
Yeah,
you can actually select one of them, and it'll tell you what sort of stress it's under.
Okay.
So it's easy enough to know if it's got the likelihood of surviving very long based on where you put it.
Does it take into account the rising and falling of the water?
No, like if that, for example, was lower and the water came up, your platform would disappear under the water. But then
I meant more from the struts and the physically holding it. Like, does the rising tide change?
Does it wash it away, sort of thing? I don't.
Yeah, or does it change the nature of the green platform that those blocks are on? Does that? I think maybe erosion is maybe a step too far, perhaps.
There's been no indication that the island footings would disappear.
Because erosion would be a shitload more calculatory power than
erosion
perhaps
would be a lot longer time as well, so it's not really the scale.
Yes. So, you don't erode shit in like fucking 20 minutes.
In 20 minutes, it takes 20 years, 25
Unless it's
years.
acid.
Yeah.
Acid erosion.
So like for example, if we go back to one of those earlier pictures, so for example that one, you'll get this up in the top right hand corner. You get this warning as to when sea level is going to rise and go down or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So it'll tell you what is going to happen. That it's going to rise, lower X amount of feet or meters or whatever, and then it'll come back up again, and it gives you when it's going to happen.
I didn't notice there were people tied up there.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I don't think they're
That that that
I don't.
that seems almost borderline torture.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was.
Are you breaking the Geneva Convention playing this game?
I'm not too sure what they're doing actually. Um, yeah, so it's neat. It's just neat in what it's one of those like there's a dozens of building games like this out there now,
Oh yeah,
and what each of them has to do to distinguish themselves is they've got to be unique in what they're
yeah,
doing, and that's certainly one of those.
yeah. I'm not telling
Um,
you about them anymore because there's so many.
yeah, there's so many, and look,
Yeah,
it's even. I'll go through the list of what's on demos or what's on Steam and just go. Shit, I've got a bunch. Most of them on my Steam wish list anyway. The ones I'm
yeah.
curious about. So yeah, so that's all will fall. It's not. It's sometime this year, quote
Oh,
unquote.
I was going to ask what the release
And it's
date
not coming
sitch
early
was.
access, so it's out when it's out. It's out, I believe. So
Hmm.
that's something. But there's no indication of when that's going to be.
Yeah, I do love the additional title on the Steam page. All will fall, all in capitals. Physics-based survival city builder.
Mm. And the next game I've played is along similar lines. It's a management game of sorts.
More religious.
Is Syntopia. Um, again, I saw this on a stream a couple of weeks back before it came out as a demo, and when the demo came out, I thought I'll just grab this to see what it's actually like to play.
Mm.
This is one of the folks at Team 17 who've been around for an absolute fucking long time. That group,
Mm.
they've been around for a long time.
Kira Knights.
So Syntopia is you are basically running hell.
Fuck yeah.
Oh god, gotta fix that. Um, and you've basically uh, these things don't.
Oh, that stamp is fucking awesome. That Star Hell Ink stamp. Oh,
Um, so you've basically got how do we
oh,
begin?
and moist.
How do we start here? So
What? Like, this doesn't look like hell.
no, that is.
There we go. That definitely is.
So basically, so the game is split into essentially two levels. So you've got
Evil is
above
bad.
ground.
Fucking fantastic.
You've got above ground, which is a very nice green lush ground, which is this one.
Yeah.
You've got some abilities to injure, hurt, ultimately,
Fuck yeah.
ultimately kill the little dudes running here, and they're not called humans; they're called humus, Humus.
Okay.
So it's like
Humus.
humus. Um, and once they die, that's one of the things you can do. This sort of pulsive thing, and they go, and they're a bit of physics. They'll go flying and stuff like that,
Fuck yeah.
and eventually will die. And when they die, they turn into souls, and that's what these
Yep.
guys are. And these come out of this really cool. In fact, is it that last screenshot?
Soul Evader.
No, it's no, they don't have a picture of it. No, what it is there's basically a bus driven by I think the name of the person might have just been the bus is driven by a guy called Steve, and basically this bus
Hell's
comes out
bus driver, Steve.
comes out of the hell onto the top. Up to X number can go on at one time. They can go down to here, then they basically come off this, and it's basically you're sending them through a series of buildings and stuff that I can't remember what they use a particular term, but anyway, you basically reincarnate them at the end, and they go back up. You reincarnate them, they go back up, and they become new people again. So it's really, really,
This is
really
mightily blasphemous.
yes,
Well,
it is. But it's
is there any denotation or any process by which you or some other entity determines whether or not they're hellbound or heavenbound, or is it just fuck it,
no,
all
they're
these are sinners,
all of them, yeah, all of them are. So,
rock and roll?
so you can see here on the ground here, you've got arrivals in the back corner there, back left, arrivals on this circle bit here.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, that's pretty. I thought it was just.
So
Oh man,
they
okay.
come out of here, and then you basically can direct them where you want them to go, and you're gonna go them through this set of buildings and stuff. That I can't remember what the term they use, but
It's like if theme park was Hell's
It's-
office.
basically it is exactly what it is. You're putting them through these You can see here they're like evil is bad.
I
And
was gonna say that is fucking amazing that they've got some dude in like a indoctrination sort of chair, and it's
yeah,
just evil is bad, like with an exclamation point, mind
mm,
you.
mm,
But it's also fucking hell. Since when was evil bad in hell?
mm. So they're trying to so you're trying to sort of rehabilitate, get them back to normal so they can go back and
Wait, so
be
you're trying to actively encourage them to be better
yes,
people and go back? What the
yes,
fuck?
because that's how you make your money. So
Oh,
you
okay, yeah, fair,
so
fair enough. So
you
God pays you money for
yeah.
sending them back to Earth and be good people.
Yeah, so they again they've got some terminology for the name of the currency, but you're earning the money in the bottom left hand corner. You've got expenses. Each one of these takes potentially people to operate,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is what that first screen was when you actually
Which
hire.
is the same as management sims and all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
so
Yeah.
you're hiring things like this.
Oh, and Moist is a fucked up name though.
um, yeah,
Is there
so
any interaction between like you and quote unquote Satan or God?
not that's in the demo that I played of it. No, so I think it's pretty benign from that perspective. I think.
Okay.
But you have a lot of. I think you're going to have in the full game when it comes out, the access sometime this year, I believe. You'll have a lot of ideas of what you can do to basically kill them to make them come down because that's how you make
Fuck
your
yeah.
money. It's again back to what I was saying before about All Will Fall. There are a lot of builders like this games out like this.
Yeah.
This is you're not building on top of the ground you lay out, but you are doing it underneath.
Mm,
It's the context of why you're doing what you're doing
yeah.
that is really where the games will start to differentiate themselves. That big thing in the corner there, middle right there, is how they go back up to the.
Yep. It's kind of like a space elevator,
Effectively,
but
yeah, exactly.
not space.
You can see you've got slothologists and pridologists and envy, the seven deadly sins and that
The
kind of
sevens,
stuff.
yeah.
Yep. So you've got things around that. So yes, you've got a lot of things you can do to remove the sin from these people to make them um, go back up, and So it is very very interesting the context behind it and what they've done, and it's neat. So
How,
again,
how long
it's
is it mistakenly featured on Fox News as this fucking
yeah.
Satan indoctrination device? Fuck.
But
Ah,
yeah,
Fox News isn't getting into that shit these days. It's fucking Newsmax and all those other dipshits.
yeah. So it is really,
That's a
really.
fucking interesting twist.
It is an interesting twist. As I say, back to All Will Fall. There's a shitload of these games out there now,
Yeah.
and it's how they differentiate from each other that make the difference. Like you can do really good just a straight up builder game,
But that's, yeah, there's,
but once
those are a
you
dime a dozen. There's
yeah,
fucking heaps of those.
but once you do something like this where you've actually got what you're trying to do is interesting.
Yeah. Or
So
even
yeah,
just an interesting framework. Like that Mars Attracts.
yeah,
That's an
same,
interesting framework on the
same,
like,
yeah, same thing.
yeah,
It's got a lot of
theme
similar,
park but on Mars.
yeah. So it's got a lot of similar things to it, but yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting. I'm going to be curious to see how that lands, but it's now on my wish
Mm.
list. And the
Both of
third
those
game's
2025 with no release date beyond that as yet. And
yeah,
holy fuck, what a surprise.
yeah. Soda Factory's back. So they're releasing 1.1. It's in experimental at the moment.
Mm.
So at some point that'll come out. I'm hoping to get this my first season quote unquote done by then.
Yep.
And then do a bit of because there's a lot of stuff in 1.1 that I could take advantage of right now if I had it in my current build. So I might stem one episode in 1.1 with the current factory,
Factory.
and then look at restarting a new game at some point or a new save purely in 1.1 and just see what it's like to play from the beginning because when I started playing from the beginning it was 5 years ago now, so
Yeah.
it's a lot. So that's all I've had to play.
No, this is a better question. Better asked later. I'll leave it. All right. So still kind of elbow deep in paint for now.
Now painting's done. I'm finished my
Painting's
painting.
done.
That's why I'm able to get back into some games in the last couple of days.
What do you have left then? Just moving shit in the room, or
I've got to have a new barbecue area built. So that's the next thing they're working on is that.
fucking hell?
And yeah, now that the room is almost done, it's not completely done. They've got to fit it out yet with bits and pieces and all the
Electric power
power and
outlets
that
and
kind
all
of
that
stuff and all
shit.
the sort of skirting boardy bits and pieces like kind of fitting and stuff like that, trim stuff. And then
Internet.
that's already done. And then the
Nice.
stuff here, behind me, which you can't really see. Well, you can see a lot of it behind me.
I can. There's a lot
Um,
of shit there.
that's all going to be taken off because the pool table's under that. That's going to be moved. That's going to the new
Are you
room.
putting the pool table in there, are you?
That's what it was. That's essentially what the room was built for. So,
Straight to the pool room.
pool room. Yep.
Fucking watch. I was going to say The Office, but it's definitely not that.
No,
The Castle.
The castle.
The Castle. Shit. Nearly forgot. Ah, what a movie. What a movie. What a movie. Okay, Tales of Iron 2. I finished this literally, I think maybe an hour before last podcast went live. I ran 2-3-ish hour sessions on the Sunday after recording and on the Monday night after getting home from work. I got all the achievements. It's probably the most from like non-from software Souls-like. In that it has the most fuck you bosses, damage, all that sort of stuff since probably Neo 2. It is fucking great. It's really well written. Particularly all of the narration being done by the dude who plays Geralt. I really like the aesthetic and the art. I think that looks really fucking awesome. We went through the screenshots last time, so I'm not going to do that here. The combat and movement mechanics are tight. There's a floaty jump that's kind of shit, but it's not really a platformer. The navigation isn't really it's not really a navigation heavy game. So that even works. The audio design I really dig. Even there's an out of tune acoustic guitar riff, death sound. And you fucking get sick of that because you hear it a lot. But it also does a really good job of linking to the first game in a way that I didn't realize at the time. I actually went back and did a bit of a look at the plot stuff from the first game and how it's come into play here. And it does that really, really cleverly. And it absolutely sets up at least 2 hanging threads for either DLC or a sequel, but not necessarily. It's not in the most cliche of ways. There's a bit of cliche to one of the threads, but the other is not. I think they did a fantastic job of both from a narrative design perspective and just the actual gameplay of it, because for as much as there are a number of Souls-likes, the ones that are good are perhaps maybe fewer and far further between than I would like.
There's something like this, the building genre. There's a shitload of them, and there's
not the glut that there are of the building games, but there are. Yeah, I played a couple of demos a few weeks back on the Friday or Saturday show, and they weren't great. There is AI Limit and First Berserker Kazan that are both out. I've got both of those. I just haven't started them yet. I'm looking forward to. Next up, a game that has reviewed really, really well, but did I not dig it. Keep Driving. It labels itself as an atmospheric management RPG about life on the open road.
Okay.
It's a side-scrolling game because the interactivity parts are where you're going on a road trip for the first time and then a number of other times because it's roguelike-y based, set in the early 2000s. You choose to pick up hitchhikers or not as you go. And you don't really have seemingly a destination. It's just, I'm going to get on the road and drive. Which, okay. Wish they'd set that up a bit better. You can work odd jobs to get more money. But the extent of that work is click on a sign that says help wanted, wait a bit of time, and then cha-ching, you get money.
Okay.
So there's no mini game tied to the actual work component. And you deal with events that come up, like a slow driver or things like that. And literally it's just dragging and dropping items or photos to break icons in a queue. That's it.
Okay.
It reviewed really, really well, like I said, but it didn't have a demo that I noticed. So I never played it before I bought it. There's a lot of meters to keep an eye on. So you got energy, you got fuel, you got money, you got the car condition. All of these things you have to manage as you're driving. So that's where the management sim part comes in. And they get used in varying degrees of rapidity. So there's obviously management tied to that. But fuck me, I got bored really quick. It's pretty simplistic from a gameplay perspective. Like I said, it's largely drag and drop or click on dialogue options. the dialogue exchanges I didn't find particularly interesting. I mean, I played it for 40 minutes, got so bored I tapped and deleted it.
Mm.
I had repetition of events too in that 40 minutes, which if you're doing this sort of management roguelike thing and you can repeat multiple events in the space of a 40-minute span, then it's not that interesting.
Mm.
The funniest part to me is that they have an option in their menus for streamer mode. And it goes, if you turn this off because you're streaming, you're going to miss some really cool music. No, it's fucking not. If you've watched the OC, you know what sort of music you're going to hear. The soundtrack to this game would be Seth Cohen's like absolute dream.
Mm.
For me, it's fucking shit. Like just really that very indie rock, alternative indie rock sort of thing. Where I'm just like, yo, this is not good. Anyway, moving on. A game that I wish I liked more. Guns of Fury came out earlier this year, February 13th. Fuck this. Mixes search action / Metroidvania with basically Contra / Metal Slug. But the actual mechanics and gameplay are relatively basic. And it sort of sticks a little too closely to some of the bullshit that developers have moved on from and left behind in that genre. Like some of the boss attacks are completely fucked. Borderline unavoidable, which, why? And the map design doesn't really tell you where to go or what you can access next. It's literally just you're fucking going all over the place to places you have been that are locked off and just going back to check if you can open them or not. And it's like, really? So, like, sometimes you blindly plod your way around the map and you find out where you're going the right way, but then, nope, no, you're not. The music's super fucking generic as well. Again, I saw relatively positive reviews of this, but I'm like, yeah, it looks pretty nice. It plays relatively well, but I did say either at the end of last year or at the start of this year in one of our either the last or the first episode, I wanted to do a better job of moving on from games that I didn't really dig. So I'm trying to be a bit more judicious. And that's what I did. I moved on. I am not playing this anymore. I gave it about an hour. Yeah, interesting. Like to bring that Metal Slug sort of Contra idea to the Metroidvania style. But I think they maybe made it a little too simplistic to retain attention. Few games have bummed me out this year more than Cosmic: A Journey Among Shadows. Came out early May. The trailer on the Steam page basically makes it look like if this could be even possible, a darker version of Ori. Which, let's face it, Ori's pretty dark at the best of times. But this is dark from a light perspective. And there's a light-dark mechanic in that you are followed by a light. Or a shadow, and you can only attack enemies if they are within this light. So there's an interesting sort of push-pull there between when you can attack and when you can't. But the version, I don't know if this has been updated because I got so fucked off at this, I just deleted it, put in my thing on the discussion boards going, here's how this game is fucked, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just deleted it. The dev did touch back on that discussion. I was like, look, cheers for the feedback. I didn't tell him that, I'm not playing this anymore. I had wall jumps that either were fucked, like completely didn't work at all, timing-wise. Like I tried pushing the jump button against the wall, nothing. Or it was weird timing-wise. The D-pad does nothing other than move the camera around. And the D-pad doesn't function at all in any of the menus. You can't pause the game in front of a save statue because there's a dumb little pool of water. So while you're in it, you can't pause the game. I was getting the wrong button prompts. Like when games will flash tutorial sort of button prompts on the screen, like jump is A. Yeah, this would say jump is X.
Okay. And
I was like, maybe that's using PlayStation glyphs. What the hell? But no, when I got the ability to attack finally, it was attack equals A. I'm like, that's not fucking true at all. So apparently that was a bug. I got to a bell where it was talking mad shit at me, wanting me to hit it, but I couldn't hit it because there wasn't a light around. So because I can't attack without light, then I couldn't hit it. So there was nothing indicating how light could be attracted to this area to hit this bell to make progress. So I was like, get fucked. Fuck this. And I bailed out. I think I might have, quote unquote, rage quit this game about 4 times. But I went back, so I'm like, no, I'm going to give it a proper shot. And then I just eventually went, nah, fuck this. The light dark mechanic is interesting. And there's a look to it that makes a whole promise. Like, Ori has a fantastic fucking look. This is Ori, but on a smaller budget with a smaller team. But holy fuck, do they fuck it into the dirt with just some real weird application of mechanics and stuff. And this game was in early access for a substantial period of time, so I wouldn't have thought it would come out this busted, but I was wrong. Anyway. A game about digging a hole. I dug hole. Hole good. I got to bottom of hole. Hole bad. Moving on. No. In all seriousness, this is way better than it has any right to be. Like, you're in a backyard, you just dig with a shovel. The frustrating part is if you're using a mouse, you have to constantly click to dig. But when you're using a controller, you can just hold the right trigger down to dig with the shovel. So that's kind of annoying. But fuck me, after the near nightmare that Cosmic was, I'm like, oh, fuck, this is awesome. Just digging this hole. There is an overarching story, but it's on the very edges at the start and at the end. The aesthetics are quite solid, but they're also pretty perfunctory. It's like it's not going to win any awards for look or for music or anything like that. But the appeal is digging. You dig, you get minerals, you sell, you upgrade, and then you keep digging, trying to get to the bottom so you can unlock a treasure. It's there is someone I heard about who had because you start in this basically it's probably, I don't know, maybe I was going to try and estimate it a measurement, but that's not going to go anywhere, so I'm not going to. Like a decent rectangle sized backyard. I finished the game in just shy of 2 hours. Someone dug the entire backyard out, and it took about 6 to 8. But yeah, whole good. Have you got? Did you hear? You'd heard about this before?
Yeah, I've got it on my. I bought it.
It's fucking cool as shit. Oh, it's so good. Digging a hole, so great. One of the 2 Arse games that I played on the stream last Sunday that went up on Monday, I Am Legion Stand Survivors. You, instead of weapons, you get like floating ghosts around you, kind of like in Brotato, where you'd have the weapons around you rather than holding them. There's 2 main hooks in that there's a synthesis system that you use on the ghosts themselves to combine them to make all sorts of different weird weapons. And there's a crafting system where you rock up to an anvil, you press a button, and you make different items, and sometimes you can synthesize those. But the synthesis part is completely illogical to those, because let's say you have 2 grey swords, if you were to combine them, what would you expect out of it? A green sword?
You've got 2 grey swords. You'd expect a grey sword of a high quality.
Yeah, sometimes it'll turn into a fucking ring, a piece of armor.
Oh, okay.
There's no logic. I don't understand the logic in how it combines them. It's fucking weird. So I could have a blue item that's doing really good for me, combine it, and it can turn it into a purple item that doesn't help me as much. There are times where, build is incredibly important in this game, because at 2 points in a run, there are bosses which are basically just damage checks. You have 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes to kill them. And if you don't kill them, that's the end of the run. To the point where I got to the end bosses a couple times and just did not have the juice to do anywhere near enough damage to kill them. It's like, what the fuck? I damn near did everything you asked for, but you didn't give me the tools for it. And you kind of luck into it sometimes rather than, which is frustrating as hell. It's hell of grind heavy in that I only have 1 stage available that I haven't already played, and it's replaying the first one. There's only 3 maps, but there's different levels of medal counts that you get for achieving challenges on different levels. Yeah, nah. It is just making the treadmill fucking airport runway
Mm.
to make it just take ages. Which I enjoy playing it, but fuck me, trying to make it that long and that grind heavy. Like, don't get me
Mm.
wrong, Vampire Survivors had some grind to it, but it never felt like you were being cheated out of a run. You could always succeed with any combination of items. You just had to get it to the right level.
Mm.
Whereas this doesn't feel that way. And then there's Rogue Genesia, which I came out of the there you go. I came out of the video a little bit hotter on than I went going in because I was really fucking annoyed with something that happened, but I'll get to that. This thing has over 300 achievements. So there's that. It's arse gameplay, but it's Slay the Spire almost in structure, in that depending on okay. There are two modes in this game. One is a typical survivors in that you go for as long as you can in a level, right? The other is basically you have certain tier runs, and if you finish one, you unlock the next hardest tier. So there's an F tier, it's one level, and a bunch of like pathway stages, like a roguelike sometimes, where in the roguelikes where you can choose the next stage,
Mm-hmm.
kind of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it adds more levels / worlds as the letter runs get higher.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. But you get to a point where you're borderline indestructible and are just fucking melting shit. But I had a run go for an hour 10. I was on the last hit point of the final boss, and then out of fucking nowhere, I got hit by like 3 projectiles or some shit, died. And nothing before that had even dinged me. So I fucking almost threw something. But I went back in the demo, on the video, and I ended up finish a C grade run, which I'm like, all right, cool. Jesus Christ, it's not as grind heavy as I Am Legion, but it's also over $20.
Mm.
Vampire Survivors is $7.50. This does not do nearly triple what Vampire Survivors does. The interesting nature of basically becoming indestructible, which has its drawbacks. The complete eye fuck that happens when you are getting more and more powerful with all this shit jumping off and different particle effects and stuff looks pretty cool. The look is actually really nice. It's sort of pixel art in the characters, but environmentally polygonal almost.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks really quite neat, but yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. If you want an arse game and you have drained everything else of Vampire Survivors, this one could be up there. Could be a really nice next step, but $20 is a lot to ask for a fucking arse game. Because there's borderline next to no, like you could get to, like I got to plenty of points where I could literally just put the controller down, do nothing.
Okay.
And progress. A game I could not just put a controller down and progress. Avowed. I have now finished Avowed after about, where's the number? 43-ish hours. But I ran into a couple of great issues. I ran into a furry little guy at a city who was reading a poem to express his love to a person that wasn't there.
Okay.
He was clearly talking to someone and they were responding, but there was no character model there. So that was weird. I had time where I was running across a farm that I'd been to plenty of times. The ground didn't either stream in or come in, but it was sort of there, but like half textured. I ran over it and fell endlessly to my death. And it got to a point where I was getting a fatal error crash every hour. Like it just go, UE Alabama, fatal error, and just crash to desktop. And it is a known issue apparently, but I wanted to get this thing finished so I could start Assassin's Creed. So I did. The larger narrative is really quite well done. And a lot of the choices you're presented as far as what to do in that narrative and what impact you have, there's no real good options sometimes. It's just like, okay, who am I going to piss off the most? But it's a pretty small party you've got. You only end up with 4 followers. And you don't fuck them off enough for them to actually go, you know what, fuck this, I'm out.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty neat. I only ended up getting.
that sort of mean that the decisions don't mean a real lot then if you can't piss them off
They
enough that
impact the
fucking
larger narrative, but the
not doing anything.
characters
Okay,
recognize that you're in a fucked position.
okay, fair enough.
They express that, yo, I would have done this differently, and the way you did this kind of annoyed me. But after a while, there's like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, there's no real artificial tension through just a pure good bad binary.
Yeah, okay, yep.
That's the part. Like a lot of those, I'm sitting there going, not for minutes. I'm like, what the fuck do I do? And it gives you the opportunity to ask because you have 4 total party members. You take 2 with you at any one time.
Okay, yep.
You can ask them what they reckon, and they'll tell you, and you go, all right. There's no romance option, which is kind of a bummer. But, yeah. I didn't get all the side quests, didn't get all of the godlike abilities because there were just a couple of things I didn't find. Because there are parts where it does not necessarily hold your hand, but it does tell you where things are. But there is much more exploration you can do to find some of the side quests. I only had just over a smidge of just over half, just a smidge over half, fucking hell, of the achievement points in the game. And of the 12-ish times I died, all but 2 of them were a result of my own misadventure. Falling off cliffs and shit like that. 2 happened in combat. Which, what a surprise. You have an interest in this?
Don't think so.
I thought you might have. Cataclysmo. Sort of a mix of tower defense and RTS. Fantastic style or aesthetic, but you do not get given the time you need because like it'll have a day cycle where you're prepping, building up walls and defenses and shit like that. And then the night cycle is where the enemies come out, like in the key art, but you just don't have the time or the resources to develop what you need. I got fucked hard a couple of times. And I'm just like, yeah, I like, not as much as you. I know you like really build up and sort of turtle a bit before you go. But I go about halfway on that. I didn't get the opportunity to get what I needed out of this. I'm just like, yo, fuck this. Yeah, I barely got through the last tutorial mission, which should have told me that, yeah, you're not keen for this. But I tried the first actual mission and got fucked. And I was like, unless you play this in a very, very specific way and build in a very specific manner very quickly, you're fucked. Which is a real bummer. But anyway. Scumbag hold down for sickos is Nubby's Number Factory. Remember Flash games? This is kind of one of those. And it's neat.
Oh, I've seen this. Yeah, I've seen this.
It's fucking cool as shit. I've spent like 5 or 6 hours playing this thing and there's no achievements yet. You shoot the ball, you pop the bubbles, and you progress by achieving a score. It is way better. Whoa. Oh, how about that? Would you be able to change the screen slightly? Sorry. I've talked too long. Yeah, Nubbies is fantastic and way better than it has any right to be. But it is basically, remember, like, I couldn't think of the name. I had to look it up. Remember Hold Down where you shot the balls and blew up the different bricks? Yeah, it's basically that, but for sickos. Like it was made in Flash. So that's pretty neat. Where am I? River Towns. I played this for a couple of hours. Mixed Tetris with Islanders, and it's kind of that. You get different factions that have different buildings. You have a score you have to hit, and see the blue diamonds that are in this screenshot? That suggests how many additional neighbor points you'll get.
Okay.
The problem is it's incredibly pedantic about maximizing that neighbor score to the point where 3-star scores a bit later into the first world have just gotten to the point of it's like, nah, fuck this. Like, it could be really, really chill and really entertaining and interesting, and it was for a while, but then it's just like, nope, you didn't get this point, and you maxed out because you only have a certain number of tiles you can place, but you have to absolutely maximize the placement of each tile in order to get the right score.
Okay, yeah, it's a little bit spicy. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. If you're one of those people who can see like star ratings and shit like that and just go, oh, fuck it, 1, 2, that's fine, move on, you will be okay. If you are not one of those people, like me, You cannot, and it's just fucking annoying. But it is neat for that what it is.
Mm.
I just get way too annoyed at the specificity and the pickiness of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've only got a couple left. Breakout Beyond is, remember Arkanoid or Breakout, the classic arcade game?
Mm-hmm.
Atari has been bringing back some of their arcade games, and this is one of them. Instead of it being vertical, it's now horizontal.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the goal line. That's what you need to get the ball to cross. You have a certain number of balls to do it, and it's got this really neat art style that's very sort of takes the old school television aesthetic with the scan lines and all that sort of stuff. This is the only game I've left that turned on in ever because it just looks neat, and it's got a real minimalistic sound where the bricks breaking add to that music. And it's fun, but fuck me, is it hard. The number of times because like you can, if you have the ball coming at you, and it's like ping pong where if you move the paddle up and hit the ball, you'll put swing on it, and it like swings like a fast bowler. But yeah, it's really hard. I'm stuck, but it's really cool. Anyway, Call of Duty's all right. They put Verdansk back in the game, so man, it might have been playing Battle Royale Casual, which is 148 quote-unquote players, but only 25 of them are actual real players.
Oh, rest of bolts.
Yep.
Oh, God. Okay.
Which I actually prefer it. Well, to an extent, I prefer it, because otherwise, normal Warzone, you take a while to load in, and you get you're out as 135. Because people have spent so long playing that game, they will just snipe you across the map. Whereas, like, we run games where we have, like, 30 or 40 kills between us. And, like, 30 of them are bots, and it feels really good. It makes you feel good about yourself. Last one. The new season is in Call of Duty. Jay and Silent Bob are in there now, and it's fucking awesome. You have played a bit of this.
I have, but not much.
I have played more of it. I'm about 4 hours into Wonder Stop, which is the quote-unquote cozy game about a fighter who has fought themselves to exhaustion. And you're helping to run a tea house begrudgingly, as displayed in the key art. Pluffins are fucking awesome. If you put cups of tea on the ground, the Pluffins drink it and they change color. That's neat. I really love how Boro talks. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I've literally played maybe 40 minutes of this.
Yeah.
So I've played to the point where you start making a cup of tea. Like, this is so early on in the game. It's the very first thing you do, basically. I was trying to play
it takes a while to rev up to it, though.
I was playing it the other night, and I was so tired that day. I was literally falling asleep playing it. So
that was what happened to me. Because I finished Avowed on Wednesday. This past Wednesday. So I'm like, all right, Wonder Stop. I'm firing it up on Thursday after work. Did that, played it for about half hour, 40 minutes, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm tired. I can't do this. So I played Call of Duty and bounced back. And then I put a couple hours into Wonder Stop on the Friday. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is neat.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I started to fall. And the music that plays in the background.
It's very good sleepy music.
It was bloody brilliant. I was fucking out like a light, mate. I said, right, I've got to stop playing this, otherwise you'd come and, oh, you played 6 hours. Yeah, 5.5 hours was me sleeping. So that wouldn't have counted.
I really like how the game story sets it up as this big old character action adventure type thing. And it just twists it on its head and goes, nope, you're running a tea shop.
Yeah.
And I really like how sort of small and constrained the world is spatially. It's not those big fucking massive farm, but there's still enough size to it that you take a bit of time wandering around, picking mushrooms and tea leaves and stuff. It does add complication in the different combinations you can do and the different plants you can grow.
Okay.
All of that is documented for you in your little book.
Okay.
So that's at least helpful. You're not trying to remember shit constantly. But otherwise, it's a neat little. I don't want to say little. That's a bit disrespectful. It's a neat distraction. Is not right. It's a neat side project for bigger games. And it's just nice and chill. But like you said, you kind of have to have a little bit of energy to it, otherwise you are fucking out.
Because it was Like I was really wanting to play it because I liked the demo that I played of it whenever that
Mm.
demo was like, not
That's
because
right. You played the demo.
I
I was
played the
wondering why it only had 40 minutes for you.
yes, I played the demo and then I played the
Mm.
actual the real game like Friday night I think or Thursday night or something like that. And I was just sitting there going, oh, this is really really good. Watch the intro again. Oh, that's what it's about. Yeah, remember that. Then
Yeah.
yeah, you said the way the Borrow talks is I don't even know how to even describe it, but
It's
um,
kind of Yoda, but
Yoda,
not
but
fully
not
Yoda.
yeah. It's like he sort of talks in the first person about him. Yeah, like it's really intriguing what he does, and
It's not proper, like fully correct English
yeah,
grammatically.
like yeah. So it's sort
That's
of
what I mean, the Yoda-ness of it.
yeah, yeah. So the sentence structure isn't quite right, but you know
Yeah.
exactly what he means.
But it's fucking cool.
Very cool. And then at some point you started picking, what was it? You
Tea
started
leaves?
picking tea leaves or something, and
Yep.
music starts playing, and I'm going, oh, this is really. And I just start falling asleep.
Yeah.
Nothing against the game at all. I was just
Oh.
fucking tired at that point.
Mm.
I thought, right, I should probably just go to bed rather than
Yeah.
try and play this. So that's what I did.
Did you get character interactions where
So
you're obviously...
I was curious. Like you're running a tea shop. Do
Yep.
people come and buy it? Do people buy tea from the shop? Is that strictly speaking like
You are
that?
serving tea. You're not selling tea.
Okay. Okay.
So Boro is very much a fan of, I guess, socialist ideals where he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't sell it. People come
Okay.
in and they want tea or they don't want tea, and that's something that Alta.
Alta. Yep.
That's something she really struggles with. She's like, this dude's fucking here in this tea shop. He doesn't want tea. What the fuck? And Bora's like, yeah, sometimes people will come here and not want tea. And she's like, that's fucked. It's a tea shop. They should buy fucking tea. But like, yeah, you have interactions with these people, and sometimes they don't want tea. Sometimes they'll just go, I want book flavored tea. And you're like, wait, what? So you figure that out pretty quick. But yeah, it's really neat. And for as much as the coziness has been used as a descriptor for this game, there's enough to it where you can stay engaged.
Mm, mm.
Like cozy things to me sometimes get real fucking boring because they just get real low energy.
Mm.
And even
Well,
at the times where, like, you go to Borrow sometimes and you're like, all right, no one here wants tea. What the fuck are we doing? He's like, find shit to do.
Mm.
Go cut weeds. Go sweep up leaves. Go grow shit.
Mm.
And you're like, okay. And I made her run in the forest a couple times after she dropped off exhaustion, and Borrow brought it back. And after a while, he stopped doing that. She just ended up back on the bench with Borrow not there. I wanted to see what had happened.
Mm-hmm.
But it's neat. The one thing I forgot about fucking Call of Duty is I've had some great times. Remember how I said, I think it was before we started recording, where I was like, computers changing settings on their own?
Mm.
Yeah, twice now Call of Duty has changed it from full screen borderless to exclusive full screen, so the mouse can't come out.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I've changed it back, and then I get like wicked borderline crashes where it dumps back to the menu going client command overload or overflow. And I'm like, wait, what? And then I reload it back in after having corrected the graphical thing, and it's like, yep, no dramas, nothing. What the fuck? Anyway, that's the games.
All right, I've actually got one more. I forgot to mention, so I'm going to flip that to mine quickly. It's called Dust Raiders.
Sounds like an ass game.
No, it's not. It's it's an interesting game. I think it's got some issues they need to address in terms of its design, but it is kind of interesting.
Mm.
So you play a sort of an open. Oh god, I've got to fix it. You play a sort of open worldish sort of exploration. You're driving this little van thingy, and you can go up to various buildings, and from those buildings you can interact with marketplaces and storage things, and that's where you get your storage stuff from. The biggest issue of the game, it's all over the discussion forums about it as well. You can upgrade your vehicle, and I'll go to this bit here is the action.
Do you navigate that at all, or is it automatic?
No, it's sort of you're moving constantly, always going forward. And you've got the ability to go up and down, and left and right within a sort of a window. And you see in the bottom left-hand corner, you've got these sort of under heavy hold. You've got these couple of icons. You've got abilities you can activate the trigger that have cooldowns and stuff on them. So it's an interesting concept. So you'll just be driving around the environment, then you'll come across essentially story moments that are just automatically triggered, and you can get out of them sometimes, but most of the time they end up with this kind of a thing
Yep.
where you're trying to just defeat these other enemies on the screen as well. It's pretty neat in terms of this stuff is relatively cool.
What's
The
the issue then?
the biggest issue, and I'm not too sure it's going to be in. Oh yeah, top right hand corner, you've got this fuel up here.
Yep.
You run out of fuel in the bit I've played so far. You run out of fuel in about 5 minutes.
Fuck that.
It's just so short a period of time that, and if you get stuck, so if you see this building in the top left hand corner here, if you get to one of those, you can refill your tank basically.
Yep.
If you go back to your home base, you can refill for free. If you go to another location, you've got to spend the currency to refill, which is fine. That currency, that's not an issue.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you navigate that overworld, or is it just constantly moving forward regardless?
Oh yeah, this overworld is you can go in any direction.
Okay.
Yeah. It's only when you get to the certain trigger points where the story wants you to. Not even
for the combat mechanics.
The combat just kicks in sort of almost at random in some cases. And then you'll get to you can sort of store your gear and like you can have the depots and marketplaces. It's a really interesting sort of.
It seems really interesting and really fascinating
concept. You can upgrade your vehicle. These are actually older screenshots, but the biggest issue was that when you're in this sort of open world thing,
fuel consumption.
Your fuel consumption is so quick, and your tank at the beginning is so small that you will just run out. And if you run out of fuel while you're out, not in a base sort of thing, you get
game over.
No, it's not game over. You get transferred back to your last point of call. Where you can obviously pay to get your fuel being put up. But then you've got to go drive back out again and go get your gear that you dropped. Everything you get dropped. So, the penalty is probably too much. Or not the penalties. I haven't had a situation where I couldn't get my stuff back. But the time to go get it is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And the getting back, you're also fucking using your fuel, which so they haven't quite got the balance right between all that stuff. So.
Yeah, because it says 6 days in this screenshot here, like 6 days worth of fuel.
They don't have. There's no indication now on the current.
Yeah, what a day! Like I was going to ask about a day-night cycle or something like that.
There's not even an indication on the current game how much. You get it's a number out of a number, sort of a gauge. I think it's like up to 42 or something is the current number, the starting point. And you might be able to drive around for maybe 3 or 4 to 5 minutes at most before that fuel runs out. So. There's probably going to be puts down the road where you can upgrade the tank and that kind of stuff and make it better. But at the beginning, they've just made that too much.
Well, basically. Way too punitive.
Way too punitive in either the fuel rate being used, size of the tank, combination thereof, that sort of thing. So
have the developers responded on the boards yet?
They have. This has been a while, so I think they're trying to address it, but I don't know if they've actually got a solution that they're happy with yet, which is fair enough. So yeah.
And more importantly, are people being fuckwits about it on the discussion boards, or are they actually offering relatively measured responses?
The measures are not measured, to
an extent,
to a steam extent.
Yeah. Okay, it's the internet.
It's basically. They're understanding that they're trying to make changes, but
But people aren't just straight up being, fuck this game, it's fucking shit, fuck this, and fuck you.
There definitely were some of that.
Of course there were, there we go.
But there also been the opposite where people are understanding that it's in, it's a new game, that kind of thing. So it's something to keep an eye on. It's on my wish list now to keep an eye when it does come out. But yeah, they're going to have to adjust that. I don't know what that adjustment is, whether they just need to give you a bigger tank at the beginning so you can explore much further earlier on.
I'd say
the fuel rate's got to be
manipulate the
rate's got to be decreased. Right? So either way, they've got to make it so that initial part of it.
It does sound really neat. I've just added it to mine as well.
Concept to what it is. It's really interesting. So
it's a bit of a bummer though that particularly in a demo where it's your opportunity to sell people on the game.
Yeah, and
having that punitive a measure, it's like, well, fuck this. Why the fuck would I play it?
Yeah, exactly. So,
but at least they're responsive to it, which is better than some.
Better than some. Yeah.
Okay, so real quick, there were some events. We've already talked about the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, so let's not worry about that. There was the Nintendo Switch Direct at the end of March. there were some interesting things shown, like this Shadow Labyrinth, which is basically the Pac-Man, Metroidvania, but you have a Pac-Man, but he's called Puck, which, all right, cool. They showed 18 minutes of Metroid Prime. I skipped through it all.
Oh, God, okay, yeah.
I didn't watch this live, I need to say. And the same thing with Pokemon. They showed some of that. I skipped all that. This Eternal Life of Goldman looks fucking amazing. It's got a really beautifully animated art style, but it's also like a Metroidvania style game, or 2D platformer at least, and it has a fantastic look to it. But fuck everything else, there's a new Rhythm Heaven coming. Rhythm Heaven Groove 2026, fuck everything else. And there's also new Everybody's Golf coming.
Which is also coming to PC, which is a good thing.
It is. Yes, you beat me to it. I was going to mention that. I've got this wish listed on. Actually, no, that's not the only good thing mentioned. Marvel Cosmic Invasion is a new .emu game. It's basically the Ninja Turtles belt-scrolling beat-em-up, but X-Men or Marvel.
Yeah.
And there's like 18 characters to choose from, and that looks fucking cool as well.
Yeah. Yep.
What is it? Rusty Rabbit's coming out soon. I'm download Capcom Fighting Collection 2. A lot of these are just sort of, yep, sure. We didn't mention Hollow Knight Silk Song in the fucking... People lost their fucking minds on the internet. Like, it's coming this year! Because of course they did. So that happened a couple of weeks ago. Some really interesting games shown, but then also just some as well. I talked over the AAA initiative on Showcase on Friday night on the Friday show. There were some games that I knew about that I already knew looked rad. There were some other games where they showed them off. I'm like, yeah, that's all right. And there were some other games I'm like, yeah, fuck this. There's new Katana Zero DLC. It's taken 6 years, but they're finally about to put it out. So there's a play test for Voidbreaker. There's a demo for Clover Pit, which is basically a slot machine roguelike, like kind of Bellatre did for poker. This game's doing for slots. And there's a play test for Tears. Where is it? Tears of Metal, which is the Scottish game. That's basically a Scottish Muso, so Scottish Dynasty Warriors. I played that. I did not think it was very good. I didn't enjoy it much. Clover Pit fucked me off because of how hard it relies on RNG.
Okay, yep.
Like, in a really fucked up way. Fuck that. Voidbreaker was cool, though. And some of the other games they showed, they were really cool and really interesting. I was quite middling on this. I thought this was quite middling right up until the last third. They really picked some things up. Deep Rock Galactic Survivor has a September 1.0 date, which is awesome. There's a new Deep Rock called Rogue Core. Moonlighter 2 is quote-unquote summer, which is the northern summer, I believe. So holiday for us.
Outbound looks pretty cool. I liked Outbound.
Outbound does look... I'm curious about Outbound as to how much of the driving there is and how much of the Survivor stuff there is. That's going to be...
I watched this as well just after the fact, just sort of skimmed through it. Because it only went for about
45 minutes.
45 minutes or so.
The video on YouTube was nearly 4 hours.
4 hours or something, but the actual presentation itself was only like 45 minutes or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Enshrouded, I was like, yeah, this looks dope. And I was like, oh, it's Enshrouded. Fuck that then. Because like that, much like the Builders, I think you take what you said about the Builders and maybe like amplify that by a factor of 5 or 6, and that's what the concept behind the survival game is right now. There are so fucking many of them. There was something else. Over the Hill, which is the next game from the Art of Rally team. Sort of snow runners, but Art of Rally, where you're not just speeding everywhere, which I'm curious how that turns out. Some interesting stuff and some stuff I was like, what the fuck is this? What the... Yeah. But anyway, I thought there was some cool stuff there.
Yeah, I thought it was a decent presentation too. Yeah.
Although the number of times they kept going back to this AAA interactive splash screen or initiative splash screen, I'm like, okay, you don't have a host. Great. Saying no ads is kind of disingenuous because it's 45 minutes of ads. But yep, no host, but you keep coming back to this splash screen. God damn it. But yeah, not bad all overall. I thought it was a decent showing. I'd have that maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10.
Yeah, give it. Yeah.
There are a few things there that I thought were fucking awesome. There are a few things there that were less than fucking awesome. But yeah. How about we begin at the end?
We should do that.
Yeah, we should. There we go. Twitch.tv/enemy starship is where I do my frivolous silliness on Fridays and Saturday nights. Being on holidays now, I might fire it up a couple times over the break and play some games on there. I might need to touch base with you about how many of those you actually want to see as well, so I don't accidentally show stuff that you wanted to see. Solo Factory?
Yes, it'll still... Yes. I don't know. Time frame, schedule, no fucking idea. But yes.
Yeah, I've said that a few times on the Friday and Saturday shows. I'm like, yep, Solo Factory's somewhere. Graham's like elbow deep in a paint can, but beyond that, but with me being on holidays, Friday Night Fun will start probably around 3-ish. The Saturday show starts about the usual time. And I don't know, keep it, like, if you give me a follow over on Twitch, you'll get a notification when I go live. So then you'll be able to see me do stuff. Next week we will be doing some video content, perhaps, mayhaps.
All things being equal, yep.
All things being equal. And we'll be back in 2 weeks for another podcast. So, yeah, thanks for hanging out. And I got nothing else.
No, neither have I.
Nah, sweet. How about we end this, eh? Mike's come into the chat all of a sudden. I don't know why Mike has such a high-pitched voice or why he talks like he's from Northern Sydney. But fuck that.
I mean, what?
Bye. Bye. I've got the power to stop you from fucking talking sometimes.
No, you don't. I can keep talking.
Bye.